Hey, Dustin Tibbetts here, financial advisor with Jazz Wealth Managers. How you doing today? Hope you're having a great day out there. You know, I get the question a lot. Dustin, I want to invest. I'm 40, 50 years old. I'm a little late to the game. I want to invest, but I've got some debts. Should I pay off the debts or should I invest? And I always think, well, that's sort of a general question. Everybody's going to say pay off the debts, but everybody individually has a different scenario. So what I want to do today is I'm talking to those of you that are in your 40s, in your 50s, or later, and you're late to start investing, meaning you've only saved a little bit, maybe know you don't have enough. And I want to kind of show you how we would go through planning and things for you, but at the same time try to teach you something so you've got some questions to ask, whether you're working with a financial advisor or if you're modeling your own scenarios out there. I kind of want you guys to start thinking and asking questions. So here we go. We're going to use Nest Egg here, which is the financial software, planning software that we use. And we've got a sample customer, Mr. Oscar Peterson, and his wife, his last wife, Kelly Peterson. If you don't know Oscar Peterson, he was a famous jazz pianist, amazing touch and style if you ever get a chance to listen to some of those old records. What I'm going to do here real quick is go over and give you an overview of what we've got modeled here. Oscar Peterson's currently 40 years old. We're planning for him to live until age 90. Kelly is a year older there, and she's also planning to live till age 90. If we look at their expenses, they currently have $4,800 a month in expenses, just all put into the mix there. We're going to look at their savings. Oscar's got a 401k. He puts 3% in there. The company matches up to 3% as well, which is what you're seeing down here. Kelly just works part-time, so she doesn't really have a 401k. She has one she could participate in, but she works part-time, so she doesn't really bother. If we look at Oscar's Roth IRA, he's got that here with us at Jazz. He puts $3,500 a year in there, and he's raising the contributions by the rate of inflation. And he's also got a taxable account with $0 in it. He opened it, thought he was going to get started, and never did. Does that sound familiar? All right, Oscar's current salary is $85,000. He gets a 3% raise a year. Kelly works works part-time, so she gets about $35,000 a year, gets a slight increase. We're going to estimate their Social Security and everything for today's example, just because that's not the topic of the video. And we're going to look at their goals. They both want to retire when they turn age 65, so Kelly, that would be a year earlier than Oscar. Their monthly expenses in retirement, they estimate to be $4,500, so that's what we're going to plan for. And we've got retirement health care costs at $5,500 in the mix there. If we look at their net worth real quick, we can see they've got about 18 grand in the bank account at the moment. They've got some credit card debt, 16,000 here as a joint Visa, it looks like, at 16% interest. They're paying $240 a month. Kelly's got a credit card with 18,000 on it. She's paying $290, 17%. All right, so they're asking about the debt. Should they pay this debt off or invest more, because their investments currently total up to $18,742. We've got $392 in the 401k, and his Roth IRA here at Jazz Wealth has $3,500 in it, so they don't have a lot saved. They're 40 years old. Okay, that's kind of a toss-up, right? Should they pay the $34,000 off and pay off this other loan? What's the loan? They got a debt consolidation loan. They're paying $275 a month. Interest rate's 8.5%. All right. So, wow, we've got about $70,000 in debt versus $18,000 saved. What do you think? Should they start investing or focus on paying that debt off first? Well, we got a primary home in here, $290,000 they bought for $225,000, so they'll have some equity in there, but that's not really the topic for today. Well, okay, let's take a look. So if we look at their retirement picture as a whole, let's see the probability of success. It's 44%. We'd like anything over 65%. What you do, when you look at the way they're spending money through retirement, it's not looking good. There are many cases where they could run out of money. There are some cases where everything goes okay, but 44% is just not really going to cut it there. So first thing I want to do before we do anything and make any general suggestion is we want to model the idea of them paying off debt early. See, what we have here is, from what little I can gather, I'm going to go back and take a look so we can see. I gather that they have extra money saved up. Here's their cash flows. They do have a little extra money. Okay. So they make $120,000. This will be next year. They're not taking any money out of this, so their total income $120,000. Total expenses only $70,160. That's including debt. They're going to pay $21,000 in tax. They're going to save a little bit of money. That's the 3% in the 401k, the $3,500 in the Roth. You can take a look at it here. Here's the 401k. Here's the Roth. So they're going to spend $97,411. They've got about $22,000 left over in cash. I don't like to see that number too close to zero, because one thing we can't model is birthday parties. flat tires, random things that come up that you spend $500 on here or there. So I like to see this number north of 5,000. I won't pull from that if I see a customer that has about a $5,000 extra money at the end of the year. I think that's cutting it too close. But here we have 22,000. So we already know, number one, they could afford to pay off debt early and invest more if they want to, but that wasn't the question. So we're going to analyze this, show you how we would dig through it. All right. I'm always going to start with the debt first because I want to know if it makes sense to pay off the debt. So what we're going to do is go over here to the debt profile. Here's their current debt profile. In other words, how much debt they have. They're making payments. The years are going by. When do they finally have no more debt? Looks like June of 2045. This is a long time from now. So here's the first thing we're going to do. I'm totally just winging this at the moment. We're paying $805 a month in debt. Here's the debt listed below. All right, so what I'm going to say is if I put just $200 extra towards their debt, I know they can afford it, right? I see the cash there. That's not eating into it. It also doesn't dip them below $5,000 like I mentioned a minute ago. I'm going to say that since we have credit cards in here, it makes more sense to focus on the higher interest rates first with the extra $200. Then as that money gets paid off, go on down to the 8.5% debt consolidation loan. Now, just real quick while we're looking, here's the difference. Should be a pretty sizable difference. So in the background now, we've got their current plan, which takes us out to 2044. If they pay just $200 more a month, they now knock this debt off 192 months earlier. In other words, they're done by the end of 2029, let's call it. So 2030, they would be debt-free. They're going to save $46,000. That's pretty serious money there. I mean, right off the bat, you say you can afford to pay $200 more a month. You probably can afford to pay more. Let's start with that and see what you want to do there. Now, the question is, by doing this, does it improve their retirement chances of success? So I'm going to go back over here, show you how to do this. If you're one of our customers, once you've modeled that, you'll go to retirement. It doesn't change anything yet because we got to model that. We're going to go down here to debt strategy and we're going to say, let's use that proposed strategy that we just came up with. Everything else stays the same. Let's see what happens if we pay it off early. It's going to show up over here when it calculates, and it did nothing. So paying off debt early doesn't even help them a touch. They can continue with the debt. They can pay off the debt. It makes no difference at all in this case. So for this particular example, it's a coin flip. Now, we know they have extra money, so I want to try something. I don't want to give up on the debt because I think it's important that they pay that debt off. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come down here and say, Oscar's only putting 3% in there. If you were paying attention, you notice that Oscar's income was $85,000 and Kelly's income was $35,000. So in the back of my head, I really just flipped through that. I didn't prep this at all, but flipping through that, I am thinking there's nothing I can do to bring their tax bracket down to the 12%. In other words, some of their money is being taxed at 22%. So it doesn't really matter how much we put in the 401k. We can't put unlimited amounts, of course. They're still not going to be back in the 12% tax bracket. That would have been my first thing to do, is try to bring down their current tax rate. I can't do that. So I'm still going to go over here and I'm going to say, just for fun, let's go to 6% on your 401k. Here's the reason I'm doing that. They're paying $200 extra a month towards their debt. If we go about 3% more, right, that's about $2,400. 85,000 is income. So if we add 3% more, that's another $200 a month. Remember, in their cash flows, we know that they have that extra money. That still doesn't really tap into a lot of their extra money. So that's fine. They can do that. Now, one other thing that I can't do right here, let's just try it, see what happens. If he goes 6%, does that move the needle at all? Hopefully it starts getting us. 56, okay, we're starting to get there. And more importantly, we're now showing that he has a chance of ending his life with some money in the bank. Okay, so that's a start. We're not at 65% yet, but think about what we did. We have a debt proposal over here to pay $200 more a month. When did the debt end? You remember it was like July or August of 2029. So now what I want to do is I want to go say, how about in 2030? We take that $200 extra a month and we don't just let it build, but we invest it in 2030 because that's still plenty of time. So how we're going to do this, I'm going to go to savings. Okay, so now I'm going to just change this here because we know we're going to make that part of the plan. 6% in the 401k. But now in 2030, we're going to have $2,400 extra a month. So just for fun, I'm going to use the taxable. There's no money here. What if we go $2,400? And then over here, I don't want to start it now because that'd be $2,400 to paying off the debt a year. That'd be an extra $2,400 or so extra going in the 401k and another $2,400. I don't know that we want to do that. What I want to do is say, how about when the debt's paid off? Huh? 2030, let's go 2,400, and then whatever that accounts for inflation. It's going to be more than that, but let's just figure that in. So now we've got 2,400 starting when the debt's paid off. So it's not a new 2,400, right? And let's see what that does. That's going to make a deal. Come on. That's going to make us over 65. Help us out. 6% or 60%. We're not there yet. 60% is probably getting close to fine. Look at our confidence here. There are a number of scenarios where he runs out of money, but I got to do better. All right. What if it's coming down to either putting more in the 401k? Let's check the cash flows here. This is kind of fun, actually. I probably should have prepared something ahead of time, but I didn't. Okay, let's check his cash flows. Even after what we're doing here, we've got $200 extra a month going to the debt for now, and we've got a little extra money in that 401k. That's the extra 3%. So his planned savings, notice his 401k went up. No extra to the Roth. We could put a little more money in the Roth. We're not going to do that here. We've got $20,000 left. Remember I said earlier I like to be above 5, so we've got some money to spend there. I would say this is now up to the customer. I would go back to the customer and say, how close were you on 65? Do you love your job? Would you go 66 on your job? I mean, does it really matter, or are you just dead set on getting out of there? I would talk about that first. That does the trick. That gets us to 69%. All of a sudden, we have less and less scenarios where they run out of money here. It's not great, but we're still there. So that's the first thing I would ask there. Let's say he says, no, I can't do it, man. 65, it's got to be 65 or I'm out. All right, so I would look at that and say, well, what if we take a different route with Social Security? That's probably not going to change anything. No, it doesn't really change anything. Well, that's 64%. So we've got some work to do here. The 2,400 doesn't count just yet. We could go to the Roth and say, what if in the Roth we go just another 1,000? So this is where we're going to end this today, is with having a conversation with the customer. I can get them close by giving them some sort of efficient things to do there. I would go to the customer, talk about the age. I would talk about Roth money, increasing their 401k. I would also want to see their 401k investments. Can I improve returns there? And maybe that offsets some of the money that we've got to save. But this is the point now where I would say, okay, we've got to talk with the customer and see what's going on there. Will Kelly retire a little later? Is there any chance she would work part-time a little bit longer? I don't think that's really necessary. They have enough money to save. It's just a matter of how do they want to save it. So there you go. That was kind of fun, actually. I think I'll probably do more of these here because that was sort of me winging it, trying to make some success for these people here. What do you think, right? So if you're in your 40s and 50s, you're late to retirement. Do you see what we did? There was a chance to make it happen. And it didn't mean you had to save every last penny and quit spending money and enjoying your life. It just meant making a few changes and tweaks along the way as efficiently as possible. I hope that helped you in some way, and you'll do like that thing says down below. And hit the subscribe button if it helped you. I'll do more of these if that did help you. Otherwise, we do this for our customers. I'm happy to work through this with you. If you're in your 40s and 50s, maybe you saved some money, or maybe you've saved a lot of money, and you just want to make sure it gets put in the right place and gets organized in a way that's the most efficient. I hope you'll keep us in mind. In the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you later.